Good evening, everyone. Akeem, Hashim, Dukes. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you had a good weekend. Good evening, Paul. Armin. Good evening. Yes, hope you guys are all doing well. Ready for another trading week. I closed my oil positions at the end of last week, so we will be reevaluating for some fresh entries this week, and we still have the silver position open. I'm starting with the NAS 100 here. And I think we've given the markets some time to cool down after the initial shock of last week. At least the Forex markets we didn't take any positions on, but I am going to be looking again. We are starting with the equities though, looking at the NAS 100 here. So there's still this strong support level on the NAS that is present around 24,350. We can see that this is held multiple times in the past and is now seeing some wicks to the downside form, which is suggesting the upwards pressure. So even though the price is it is coming down slightly in the candle bodies, these wicks to the downside would suggest that actually the buyers are like more in control here. So there's no real bullish entry just yet. We would need some form of reversal pattern to justify that. And from my perspective here, the next most likely one may be a double bottom, equal lows around 24,150 to 24,350. So if we can get this would be a fourth test of this support level, then that would be the next place that I go long. Okay, so we are going to be watching the NAS 100 for potential long entries as the new week begins, aiming for 24,350 or even as low as 24,150. But I will continue to be watching this as the markets open and then for tomorrow in the London session stream. But the best move that I see for the NAS for now will be longs from those levels. So when the price makes it to those retracement points, we will provide you with an update. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. We've just discussed the NAS 100 so far. So there will be a long setup when the price comes back down to the support levels of 24,350. That's the first. That will be the first stage, and then we'll see if we get some entry confirmations. But in terms of the news that will affect it, we did have NFP last Friday. The Friday that's just gone. This week you have CPI on Wednesday, but it is relatively quiet from the scheduled news. As you guys know, our main concerns will be keeping up to date with the non-scheduled, the war really. Any kind of escalations, and that is a fundamental shock that's outside of our control, outside of these scheduled events. So we're going to be tracking that very closely. Okay, that's the NAS 100. Looking at GBPUSD here, this is the daily chart, and I have previously marked out a lower high setup here, because you can see after the war broke out over the weekend, there was a gap down on GBPUSD, and it's now pulling back. So I would just monitor 1.34600 for the rejections. This is where the gap formed. I am currently on the 12-hour chart, so this current candle is too strong to consider selling against right now, which leads me to believe that the price will need to retrace further. So I'm going to target 1.34600 for the sell-off there. Yeah, just need this to come up higher, and that will be the retracement target. As always, guys, I will be hosting the London session stream in the morning. So that is the best place to be for any updates that come from these setups. And then, well, with how the markets open over Tokyo, and then in preparation for London. So if you would like to join the Discord, I'll put a link in the chat. And tune in for the London session brief. It's the best way to be prepared for the upcoming trading day, and just get some perspective. Seth, good evening. Styles, James, hope you guys had a good weekend. Let me know what setups you guys are looking at, if you found any interesting pairs that you're watching, or maybe you're just keeping it relatively low key for now. This is GBPUSD with the bearish setup, price retracing to 1.34600. From there we will monitor for the lower high. GBPJPY, this was a long setup that was given out last week. The price ended up finding support from 209.650 as we anticipated. I didn't actually take this entry myself, as I was caught up with oil and silver primarily. But now that this is moving in its forecasted direction, I'm not going to add any new analysis to it. But what we will do is keep an eye on GBPJPY and wait for it to break through this previous high and then retest it. That would be the next entry. Okay, so that's already on its way. The analysis was performed last week, just before, oh, sorry, even, yeah, it was last week because it was just before the war started. We had some consolidation, but now GBPJPY is moving in the right direction. The next time that this will be valid for a long will be when the high on the left-hand side is taken out, the price breaks through, comes back to retest, and then we can take these continuations up to 214. There's some nice supply levels there as well. Okay, that's GBPJPY. The pound against the Canadian dollar is still within this higher time frame support level. There's been some significant selling off on GBPCAD, but it has come into what I would consider a strong support level, but there's no real long signal here just yet. So Friday had an extremely bearish closure there with the large engulfing candle. Yeah, I don't know, this bounce doesn't seem to be materializing here. I would still lean towards this as the most likely setup, that GBPCAD will bounce from here, just because of how aggressively it's been selling off. You can see a significant pattern of lower highs forming on the downwards trend, but that was after quite some time, and now there's a strong support level here. You guys know I'm not really a fan of taking these like counter trend trades, so if I was to take a long here, it would be dangerous because it would be against the trend. But that's what I would imagine is the most likely move here, is at least a bounce. There's been a lot of selling off, and the markets do need to breathe a bit. GN, CJ longs, and NU short. You know what? I love when my psych levels match or are similar to yours. Thinking along the same wavelengths. US 30 sells, gold long, says James. AUDJPY longs. Did you get my message on Discord? There are quite a few messages that I need to respond to, so I'm not sure entirely. I'm in a GBPAUD long in that 4 hour 0.5 engulfing candle. Thoughts on it? So the pound against the Australian dollar, we had I think it was 10 consecutive weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 10 consecutive weeks of selling off for GBPAUD. So last week it led me to forecast a bounce from here, just after the extended period of selling. So Gingerbearded, sorry, has taken that long already. Well, I mean, so my perspective on GBPAUD is that there will be a bounce. Looks like you've taken the first sign of the bullish structure forming, because I can see some internal higher highs and higher lows forming here. It really depends on your perspective for it. So the swing trade or the reason that I found this perspective was from the weekly chart. So just by extension, I'm looking at it as a bit more of a swing trade, meaning like wider stops and holding for longer. So if that's your goal as well, then these entries around I guess it would have been around 1.89. They look good. It is counter trend. So I would say like using a trailing stop or moving stops to break even quite soon, maybe a smarter way to go about it, or just a more careful way. Yeah, I mean, the main justification here is this 10-week sell-off. Now, where exactly the price will go from here, the issue is where your stops are. Will you be stopped out by some kind of consolidation? But if you're in on the 4 hour chart, then just keep watching this to make sure that this upwards trend doesn't break. So the streak of forming higher highs and higher lows, that's what you want to continue for GBPAUD. That will be the good sign for the longs. Head and Shoulders gold daily chart, or is that out the window due to the war? I wouldn't expect to sell off on gold, but we'll check that out. GN longs. Paul said he's watching for those, and I can imagine the setup here. There is a clear higher high that's formed. The price is now pulling back and forming a higher low. Okay, this is the highest quality setup so far. Nice and textbook, really. Yeah, very nice here on GN. We will be looking for just a clean continuation here. Price has been forming higher highs and higher lows, higher high, now higher low, retesting previous pieces of support and previous structural areas too. Paul says that's the one. Yes, I do like the look of this. I would say it's the highest quality so far, and probably least prone to fundamental shocks. Okay, that will be one to watch actually in the short term, because Sydney and Tokyo open first, so the New Zealand dollar will get some liquidity there, and then London obviously comes next. I don't know if anyone's actually interested in trying to catch this GBPCHF. It hasn't been working favorably, but there is like an 8-hour higher low here. But I would be very, very careful with this. Just the Swiss government have mentioned intervening now because their currency is getting too valuable. But as the war escalates, more and more money can flow into those safe havens as well. Apparently, the Iranians haven't even used their expensive missiles yet, and the American stocks of interceptor missiles are getting rapidly depleted, and they would need to start cannibalizing their missile supplies from Indo-PACOM, their Indo-Pacific bases, and then their focus on China becomes inhibited. That opens the door possibly for China to take Taiwan. So the Americans have a real ammunition problem. The missiles that they need are incredibly expensive. The reason that they're expensive really is so the military-industrial complex can profit as much as possible. And in order to do that, they make the missiles by hand. But if you thought about it logically, you would prefer greater manufacturing capability and output over profit maximization. If you're talking about missiles to either defend, deter, or I guess attack adversaries. So the military-industrial complex, like those companies, have just focused on getting rich. Whereas at this stage now that, the Americans are in a even more serious conflict, they don't have the ammunition capabilities and they don't have the production capabilities to replenish those stocks. But yeah, so as the war continues to escalate, the Americans will have to decide what to do about this, whether they do start to cannibalize their stocks from the Indo-Pacific region, give essentially China Taiwan, or I'm hearing a lot of concerning chatter about the use of nuclear weapons at this stage. USD-CAD, that sharp sell-off that we were looking for ended up taking place. UF longs. Seth, yeah, you just mentioned that. We'll have to make sure this 0.618 holds. It has just broken through 0.5, but there is a chance that 0.618 holds, and this becomes the second nicest setup of the stream so far. The first one is GBPNZD, as I just showed you guys, and the second now is USDCHF. Nice high that's formed. Price is pulling back. It has broken through 0.5, but we can still monitor for 0.618 and wait and see if we get the confirmations from there. There's the oil trade. That sounds like another Vietnam with the broken M16s. Kind of, except these THAAD missiles and Patriot missiles cost millions of dollars each. I think each THAAD system is $1 billion, and there's 8 of them around the world, or 7, and the Iranians have destroyed 2 of them already, I believe. Terminal high altitude area defense. This thing. THAAD was made after the experience of Iraq's Scud missile attacks during the Gulf War. The US Army deployed a THAAD battery to Israel October 2024. In June 2025, the 12-day war, over 150 interceptors were fired, comprising 25% of total number of missiles funded by all prior US military budgets. In early March 2026, in the outbreak of the 2026 Iran war, an Iranian missile strike apparently destroyed a THAAD radar in Jordan. I forget exactly how much it costs. I'm kind of looking for it to... Okay, here we go. $800 million per battery. Okay. So these... Yeah, I mean, these air defense systems or these interceptors are nearly $1 billion each. They don't have enough actual missiles, and those missiles are millions of dollars each. And the Iranians are using very cheap drones. So they're spending millions of dollars per interception. And I think it's not even like one missile per one interception. They need to shoot a few. The standard operating procedure, I think, is two Patriot missiles to intercept. And a lot of the time, those don't even hit anyway. So it's just really like, it's a crazy situation. But the Iranians and the Chinese, they've prioritized manufacturing output and keeping the costs down over enriching a few select individuals in the military industrial complex. Well, to the same like level of like disparity, maybe. Oil was at 124 on hyperliquid this weekend. Yeah, so I took the original entries at $65 a barrel, and then second entries at $70 a barrel. This was called on Thursday. I think it must have been around the same time that Baron Trump bought $30 million worth, because it said he bought it on Thursday as well. So we then closed around $90 at the peak, because I came to the conclusion that this initial surge was really nice to have caught, and to just realize the profits would be a much better thing than continuing to hold. But now that gives me plenty of room to start to look for some re-entries. So I will be following oil very closely over the coming weeks, particularly the commodities markets, because this debacle around the Strait of Hormuz, it is more than just oil. This is a critical choke point of a lot of natural resources. We discussed aluminium in the past, and as this goes on, we're kind of finding more and more about what actually goes through this passage of water. But it's a lot more than just oil. But oil is arguably the most consequential. I mean, I'm seeing very bad forecasts and predictions for what this is going to do to the global economy if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and the traffic is unable to make its way through. I think this is stuff we're going to be talking about for the coming weeks, maybe even months, maybe even years, to be honest. And we're seeing in real time how it's unfolding. But it is slightly concerning, I have to be honest. Oil, yeah. I mean, I'm at this stage, a triple-digit oil is basically guaranteed, which is a crazy statement, because after this initial surge up to $75, I still wasn't convinced that we would see, a triple-digit price this soon anyway. And to just watch it all playing out has been surreal. But the main focus will be on oil, silver, and gold. Some of the Forex pairs, I've identified some opportunities already. I showed you guys USDCHF and GBPNZD. Those are the two ideal markets. Are there any questions? Are there any observations? or maybe some interesting information you've come across over the weekend, let me know. If you would like to join the mentorship and receive access to my analysis, like this trade from $65 a barrel for oil, this was called onto the mentorship. If you guys are interested, please send me an email. There is no fee to join. It's a broker sign-up link. And then you get access to the Telegram channel. I'll put my email in the chat. Yes, I'm still holding silver. Has anyone got those like gold swing trades? I know a few members of the community were in gold swing trades. I'm in silver. Giuseppe closed oil as well. Can't wait to jump back on it around 85. Yeah, we'll be watching for 85. I put my email in the chat if you would like to join the mentorship. We are going full steam ahead into the upcoming trading week and really into uncharted territories with how the markets are. We're seeing triple digit or nearly triple digit oil prices. It's a crazy time. No, this is not from the small account. This is on my main account. I like NZD though. Do you mean what, GN? I think, yeah, GN has a really simple continuation trade here. It's just asking to be taken. We would expect CAD to move for the oil price. Yeah. The question is, to what proportion? Because the oil price is moving disproportionately more than it usually does. It's my pleasure, Seth. Thank you for tuning in always, and yeah, just saying what's up in the chat. I appreciate it. So what's the conclusion? What's the conclusion about what? Crypto coming back down slightly. I won't be purchasing any more at these prices. If crypto comes lower because of this war, then we'll just continue to accumulate. 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, somewhere in the middle. It's usually around like 9:15 a.m. Another interesting week, yes, I definitely think so. I think we will see a triple digit oil, like definitely within the week. I think by the end of next week, we will know a lot more about where this war is going, because the Americans will either, I don't know, there will be a clearer picture of their ammunition. There will even be a clearer picture of their casualties, because I think that their casualties is going to put enormous political pressure on Trump. I don't think that there is the political capital to put like boots on the ground, for example, or to put any kind of meaningful boots on the ground. I mean, who even knows at this stage? I forget that there's like populations of people that just go along with all of this stuff. check CJ. And thank you for joining everyone tonight. Well, thank you to everyone who joined tonight. It's been a good stream, good few weeks of trading. CADJPY. Well, that just looks like it's flying, Paul. Which direction are you looking to get in? I'm not sure if that's going to give a decent entry anytime soon. It's still in its thinking long. Well, after some kind of retracement, I'm sure we'll have to check back tomorrow morning. But CAD is an interesting one with oil, and then the yen is extremely weak, so it's a good trade actually from the oil perspective too. Yeah, long given CAD strength. Just need a nicer retracement. Okay, so from the Forex pairs, my two primary markets are going to be GN longs and USDCHF longs. As well as that, I will be keeping a very close eye on the commodities markets. Oil, silver, gold. I think in this moment, there are more opportunities on those markets. And I think that we should take advantage of it, because these kind of events, they cause the conditions in the markets that don't come around all the time. It's a unique set of variables, just objectively speaking. Not sure it will pull back though. Yeah, that would be my only concern with that trade, really, if it even gives you a decent entry. I'm long on UJ and short on AEU, but the dollar index makes me doubt. Those are some interesting trades. UJ is short on AEU, but the dollar index. Let's check the dollar index. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how the market's going to open tonight. There is a bit of a fog of war going on with the information that we're receiving. The mainstream media seems like 48 hours behind, and also just not reporting things objectively. So I don't really know how the markets are going to open in a few hours, because there may just be a huge gap, similar to how we saw, well, not a huge one, but a gap similar to how we saw when the war actually broke out. It's really just in a consolidation phase. That's why it's having a hard time coming to a conclusion. Are there any final markets you guys would like me to look at, or questions? I'll be back tomorrow morning with the London session brief and looking for some oil entries in particular. Yeah, I think that's really everything from me. I think America's taking more losses than they are saying. Israel too. Hardly see any news on Israel. Yeah, they've got to have lost more than. I mean, the last official number I saw for the Americans was 6, I think, which seems very low. What's the best zone to enter a long position on UC? I would not be looking for a long on UC right now. That looks quite bearish. Can you analyze USDCHF from monthly to hourly? Okay. I mean, I might not go as low as hourly, but I can start from the monthly. I don't think it's entirely necessary. We'll see though. So just from the monthly here, I'm now marking out the current monthly high represented by the wick. We've got the current monthly low there. We can take the previous monthly low. And every time I'm matching up the support and resistance levels to a psychological level, which in this context means the decimal ends in either 50, 50, or 00. Those are psychological support and resistance levels. Once we mark the relevant support and resistance, we identify the trend. So I would say that USDCHF is quite clearly trending downwards. It has seen some retracement, so we can apply a fib, and that shows that the price made it to the area of interest, the 0.618 and the 0.5. You can even place an anchored VWAP there. So weekly shows, well, a similar story, that we're in a downwards trend and we should be looking for sells. There's a large rejection at the closure of this week's candle. However, when we drop onto the daily now, we can see that the price has been forming higher lows, and there is a opportunity here for a daily higher low. So if the price holds support here, then I would be looking for longs. Was that helpful? I mean, we can pretty much stop on the 12-hour here because that's where the bulk of the analysis is relevant. GBPCAD, there was nothing really. Only a possible bounce, but nothing high quality really. It would just be like a double bottom, equal lows. Something like that in theory, but not my first choice by any means to go counter trend like that or to take a double bottom. Okay, everyone, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for attending this evening's stream. I hope you enjoyed. We will be back tomorrow for the London session brief around 9:15 a.m. London time. That will be a good stream to join because it will have the updates from this stream into how Tokyo and London opened. And yeah, we'll be keeping an eye out for some nice positions. I wish you all a good night, and I'll speak to you